Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin.
Hey everybody, it's Devin Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
This is Gaston.
Alright guys, so for today we're recording a week late. We were looking to see if we can get a couple more answers, our questions as well as just a couple other things are happening. So we're going to be doing our Q&A tonight. We had a good couple of questions, so we're going to jump in those in a second. But before we get started, first one is shoot out a congratulations to everyone who went to Warmachine weekend. And give me a second, I'll pull up the name.
First, I want to give out a shout out to Eric Swinson for winning the Master Craftsman at Warmachine weekend.
That is awesome. Congratulations. And then also Brandon Andrews for winning Warmachine Weekend Invitational. He went through a lot of people to get up there. I mean, he played against, he was playing Cryx, but I know the final match was between him and Jason Watts, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was Ghost Fleet into COC, and Brandon's out of the Enter the Crucible meta, the Florida meta, which, I mean, there's a legit bunch of players down there. I was actually kind of entertained by the photo that was showing the finals table, and you got Will Pagani sitting next to Brandon Andrews looking at the table, and the caption underneath it is, "Will Pagani, I'm coming for you, Ghost Fleet."
Nice. Yeah, it seemed to definitely be, looking at the list, that was a lot of Ghost Fleet being played.
It was actually weird because it was like 6 Cryx players and then 5 COC. They were the 2 hot groups in the Invitational.
Which I was surprised. I was happy with Converge being that many. Every single Converge player played Lucant, which makes sense. It's a great caster. And then you had 3 of them playing Axis, and the other 2 were playing Orion, since Orion was first released at Warmachine weekend. So that was actually really interesting to see just that variety of people playing.
What was Watts running? Was he running Orion?
Watts was doing Lucant with tons of galvanizers, and he was playing Axis, and I believe he was playing Axis with End theme, the Clockwork Legion theme.
So I almost wonder when you get to those limited factions like COC and Grimkin, when you see 5 COC players and they all have Lucant in it, is that a situation of faction solved? We know we're going to always play Lucant when we can, or is that a situation of faction crutching on Lucant?
So I think the good thing is with Convergence in general, each caster can do a wide variety of things. I personally think, and it looks like pretty much all of the other major Convergence players as well, I think Lucant answers a lot of questions, and he pairs very well with a lot of other people. Just giving his feet turn, being able to give the plus the armor, the ability to swing damage, and your mats, being able to shield guard a lot of things. He brings a lot to the table. With an eliminate faction, he's able to do so much. I see why they paired him with somebody else. It's
Tony.
Yes.
Did you just refer to yourself as one of the competitive COC players?
No, not me. I'm saying those other COC players. I see the same thing, which it makes me feel like at least I'm on the right path.
You said me and the other competitive COC players.
I meant me, period. Also, these other competitive players, or these competitive players. I'm not by nowhere means competitive at all.
That's why he had to separate me and the competitive players, because he didn't want to associate himself in the competitive players, because he even recognizes his own limitations.
Yeah, it's definitely me, long space, and the competitive players. No, but I did, it's nice because my thoughts were that between Axis, Lucant, and honestly Orion, I think those are the 3 strongest casters we have in Convergence. I think Orion's going to be the most complicated, which I'm happy people brought him into Warmachine weekend. I think he's going to take a lot longer playing until that's a more comfortable pairing, but I feel, at least for Convergence, that's a good drop in the Ghost Fleet.
Don't worry, you
Were
have
you
plenty of time to
surprised?
practice because the likelihood of you getting another caster anytime soon is really low.
Exactly.
Were you surprised with how little Grimkin players there were?
How many were? I was actually really surprised first that Banky didn't play
One.
Grimkin.
I know.
I'm not one bit surprised that there was only one, merely from the perspective of
I
it's.
thought Jay was playing Grimkin too, wasn't he? Because he lost versus he was playing the Heretic versus who was he playing?
Maybe there were two, but there wasn't that many.
Yeah, he was playing Magnus too. It was Jay playing Heretic versus somebody playing playing Magnus too, and Jay lost due to kill box by 1/16 of an inch.
So
Maybe. I don't think many
Jay
people will take
was
two.
Jay in? Jay was not in the War Machine Weekend Invitational. I think he played during the Last Chance. Because I'm looking at the
Was
War
it?
Machine
Okay.
Weekend list, and there was only one Grimkin. It was Jaden. I cannot pronounce your name, Jaden. I'm sorry. And it was
from the site.
Yep, and it was Child in the Dark Menagerie and Dreamer in Dark Menagerie, and he was the only Grimkin player that I can see.
Yeah, I watched it. It was whatever. They streamed it, so that's the only reason I remembered it. So I wasn't sure what that was from.
Okay.
Did you say double Dark Menagerie?
Yep, he played double Dark Menagerie.
Huh, okay. I'm starting to see a trend. So it seems like a lot of Grimkin players are doing that.
I feel like Dark Menagerie, it sounds like it's a really strong list, and I keep hearing Child is one of the best casters that they have, which kind of goes back to the thing, is that going to be a crutch for them? I'm not sure.
I don't know if I would put Child in the same box as best caster.
Yeah,
Child
I don't
is
know if
definitely no LeConte, but
I mean, the Child is almost impossible to kill. Like, the Child is really hard to kill. Right, Herman?
Sorry?
I said
No.
Child almost impossible to kill, correct?
You'll find out in 2 weeks when that video goes up.
Oh my god. So just really quick, so the event statistics, just throwing it out there really quick, is Cryx had 6 people, Convergence had 5, Legion had 4, Kato had 4, Signal had 4, Minions had 2, Protectorate had 2, and then Mercenaries, Circle, Grimkin, Scorn, and Ret had 1. So there was 0 representation for Trollbloods.
yeah, they're still waiting for the CID to come out.
CID was fully released.
They need a flanzer.
That's where Madrak 1 came out with the CID.
Yeah,
For
Madrak.
War Machine Weekend.
No, that was released right a week or two before War Machine Weekend, and then all of the model, actually all of the new stuff, at least rules wise, was released, and a couple of the bears and stuff like that was released during War Machine Weekend.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. It's more the new stuff, the bears and everything. I think a lot of people are waiting on, and I don't think anybody's willing to take that. Well, let me phrase that. No one in the Invitational is willing to take untested, unplayed stuff.
That's true. I am excited to see Convergence had the second most amount of players. That's actually extremely surprising to me.
I said it before. I'll say it again. I was completely floored when you told me there were 5 in there.
Yeah, I said 5. In my mind, I didn't put that together as being the second highest, which is good. Anyways, congratulations to anyone who played in War Machine Weekend. And actually, let's start getting to the questions. You guys are good, right? All right, this first one is for Gaston. When is Gaston returning to Protectorate, and who would be his pairing?
Well, I mean, we started the scramble, 2-3 months ago in order to just kind of schedule our games, so I ended up running with Epic Resnick and Durst as a pairing.
So did you like that pairing, or if you could, would you change it?
I thought it was fine. I have no problems with it. I mean, Epic Resnick can cover Cryx and infantry, and then I like Durst into kind of bricks because he can, the idea is to you get a little alpha off, and then you feed after your alpha, so that way they have a problem with the peace trade, and hopefully they aren't able to actually gut through the armor feat, and then you hit them again. So you kind of try to go for that double alpha.
What do you think? Which one of those casters do you think you would play in the Trolls?
Cute. You'll find out. I got you next, buddy.
For those who are not in on the joke, Gaston and Cutthroat have to play each other, so Cutthroat's kind of get some early tech.
I'm going to be honest, I haven't even looked at your list yet.
It's okay. I looked at yours. I don't even understand them. So.
His list are trolls and trolls, and if you go on the channel, you'll see his list because he only has so many trolls that are actually painted.
That is true.
The thing is he doesn't understand my list because they're written in crayon.
on a napkin.
And some of the pages are burned.
I like to draw the P's backwards because I think it makes them look cute.
Thank you, Adam Court, for that question, by the way. I did not. I did not.
I mean,
give
realistically,
Adam Court
like if you're doing a tournament, like something like Amen and then Testament, I think would be a good pairing, because then you're actually offering a little bit of list chicken on your own, where you've got a shit ton of jacks and then a shit ton of infantry.
Here you go, Gaston. Put you on the spot right now. If you had to pick top 5 men off casters.
Top 5?
Top 5.
Amen, Testament. What are their casters?
Harvey.
Yeah, Fioras.
Oh, Harvey. Yeah, she's definitely one. Definitely not any of the Fioras. Fuck them. Let's see. So I got 2 left. Hyroclaimer would have been a good pick until he got nerfed.
Son of a bitch.
What about Resnick, too? I hear he's nasty.
Yeah, Resnick too. I saw him in for 4th.
Vindictus?
I think Vindictus is underrated. I think Durst is underrated. The thing with
Malachus?
Protectorate is they have like a super deep bench. No, not Malachus. He's confused mess. I just don't like the model. I don't like the model. I'm going to be honest. Thyra, I think, is really good. I think Durant is underrated. I don't think people have really put in the time to really unlock him. Epic Sevi is really strong. Intercessor Krios is really strong. So I think like you've got definitely like your top ones that make it into every tournament, but like a half step behind them is like freaking half the casters in the faction. Realistically, Hyroclaimer is still perfectly fine.
And then several steps back is Fiora.
I like Fiora 3. I saw someone was having some success with Fiora 1. I think it sounded like because everyone was confused. So, good for
That's
him.
unfortunate.
They just, I don't know, they don't grab me by the balls. So, no, I think Protector has such a deep bench that it's really hard to, like, that whole middle section can be anybody. Like, literally anybody. Because they're that deep and they're that amazing.
I'll be
That's
honest,
good.
I forgot how many men off casters there were, and that is a fuck bud.
I mean, not only are there ones, but like you look at, you're like, Durst, not a problem. P-Krios, pop and drop, still strong. And he has Purification and a bunch of other crap, Defender's Ward. Krios 2, still aggravating and boring. Intercessor Krios, great. P7, great. E7, great. Harbinger, great. Red Raza, great. Hyroclaimer, great. Testament, great. Resnick 1 is mediocre. Resnick 2 is great. Durant, sorry, not Durst. Durant, I think, is underrated. Thyra, great. Vindictus, great. I mean, there's like 2 stinkers out of the whole list.
That's really good if there's only 2 stinkers.
It's a phenomenally well-balanced faction.
I mean, for the longest time, Guest and I used to have debates back and forth about Mark III and the theme list and stuff like that. And I think one of the statements that we could agree upon is before the theme Apocalypse came out, I think we both were kind of in agreement that the level that the Men-Off lists were, the Men-Off themes were at, was the level that all of the factions should have been at, like at that level, not the some high, some low, and everything like that. The Men-Off themes and the Men-Off faction was really balanced. You weren't getting much attention in Mouth because you didn't need it.
Yeah, and I mean, the beautiful thing about that also is just from like an approaching the game, just pick the caster you like the look of because they're all good. I mean, there are a couple that are half step beyond the other ones, which is fine. That's normal. But realistically, it's really hard to go wrong in that faction.
Awesome. All right, next question is from Nathan Dayton. What should a competitive player budget annually to keep up with the shifting meta?
Man, we should have brought Snarky on for that one.
Oh, yeah, Snarky or Fort.
Well, that entirely depends on if you are maintaining an army or buying a new army. If you're buying a new army, about $2,000. If you're maintaining an army, about $300.
Now, some of that money, is that some of the money the painting costs?
Why are you paying for that?
Yeah, why would you ever pay for painting? You can just dip and roll.
I guess, I mean, because there's several levels to that question, isn't there? There's not only the army side of things of am I just trying to keep up with my faction and minion merc attachments and stuff like that, or it's a new year, I'm buying a new faction, so you get into 2,000, but that doesn't even equate out. Like, I mean, if we're going to get to the granularities, travel time back and forth from the shops, tournament fees when you go to tournaments, convention fees, traveling, food cost when you're traveling to conventions. I mean, you start throwing those in, and we're talking thousands. It's one of the biggest points is that being a air quotes professional competitive player is a life choice. It's not something you do as a side thing.
Well, it's really only thousands if you want to buy tickets for Nova Open.
Harsh shots fired.
Icing came down.
You're not taking the bait.
Not today.
Not today, Gaston. Not today.
Like traveling to Lock and Load, that was a pretty big chunk of change last year.
Like traveling to Lock and Load was about, the ticket alone I think was a little over $300 for the flight, and then you got the room, which probably another $150. Then you got food, and then you got alcohol.
You theoretically, you travel to any major convention, you're spending anywhere from $600 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the U.S. is definitely not Europe.
This year, when I went to Lock and Load, I spent a grand total with plane ticket and everything of $467.
And that was with some of your costs being subsidized because you were like rooming with others to split the hotel fees and riding with others to get from the airport and on. So
yeah, I think every time I've gone to Gen Con, it was a minimum of $600. But I think that was with food and everything. It was about $600 or some odd dollars every time I went.
So now take that number and look at people like Jay Larson, JVM, Trevor Attridge, all those others, and you're like, holy crap, these people are attending like 5 and 6 conventions a year.
I feel like to be as competitive on their level, you probably got to spend about $3,000 or $4,000 possibly between looking at updating a current army that you have as well as traveling expenses.
And
but also lost time out of work. Hopefully you have a company
PTO.
Who's really good with your PTO.
But I mean, would you say it's safe to say that the amount that it takes for them to travel around to the different conventions in the United States probably totaled up equates out to the amount for just the WTC travel? Because some of those guys do all those events and WTC.
Let's just say you could take everybody's convention costs combined, put it together, and you're still not going to come close to old Tom Juan.
That's true. So Nathan, I mean, that's a hard question. I'm guessing on my perspective, let's say you already have an army, you're buying a couple pieces to keep it updated, and then you're going to travel to a good couple of conventions. You're probably looking at a good $5,000 investment, which if you make money, that's not horrible. But you're also sacrificing. But it's also not including, the time investment of going to even your local tournaments to test new lists and going out at least once a week to the store to go try a list and get it beat over and over again and tweaking it constantly. So there's also the emotional investment as well. I think you're putting into it.
So
let's also be honest and think about it. Like this is not the hobby where you're going to make money. Like so many people have realized that. Like even the big conventions like Adepticon and stuff. They're not handing out $100,000 checks.
Oh, no, definitely.
No,
So
it's
you're
definitely why like painting your models isn't really worth it because you're not getting any value out of them.
Nope, not biting that one either.
This is going to be a great cast. I'm excited.
Let's break it down to a little bit of granular though. So say it's for the sake of you have 2 armies. So we'll preface it with you have 2 armies that you collect and you want to stay quote unquote competitive with.
Are we saying 2 armies or 2 factions?
Two factions. Sorry, 2 factions.
Okay.
You have 2 factions that you want to stay competitive with. Not maxed FA, just competitive. How much, if you attend at least 2 local tournaments a month, how much do you need to put aside every month to stay competitive for the year?
$40 per month for 2 events. I mean, so $80 per month, sorry. $40 per
what,
event.
for $40 per event?
Because you're thinking with where we live, you're probably traveling, so you got to go to and from, so you're probably looking at about $20 in gas. Okay, you're probably looking at a $10 to $15 entry fee. So right there, you're looking at about $35. And even if we cut it down and we say $30 right there, you're looking at about $10 in food and snacks and drinks.
Yeah, I could see those numbers.
Yeah.
I plan a lot of events.
So we're looking at 80 for local events, and then how much would you allocate per month towards model purchases, realizing that some months you may not buy anything and that money rolls over into the next month?
It depends on what edition we were in. If I had said second edition, I would have gone real low. But since we've been in third edition,
we're in third, so take it from third.
Ooh, it's too sporadic. Like that's the sucky part. Like it depends. Then it depends on what faction you're in. Are you in Cryx? Because if you're in Cryx, then you probably had everything, and then it was made good. If you were in Scorn, you still haven't found what works.
Or if you're in Trolls, you already burned your army, then you need to go buy it again.
No, exactly. You already probably traded it off, and then they just made it good again, and so then now you gotta rebuy it. But let's be honest, nobody's two factions is Trolls.
So.
But no, I think it really depends on which level of competitive player. Do you want to be the meta superstar, or are you looking to be a national phenomenon?
Yeah, I mean, those are huge ends of the spectrum, though. I guess from a local standpoint, if we're looking at $60 to attend 2 local events, then would you say, I don't know, $100 a month? Then you can, every month you get 2 events and either a new blister or a new heavy?
I could say that. So you're looking at $1,200 a year. That seems pretty consistent.
That's depressing, just saying it out loud.
That is depressing. All right. Sorry, did not mean to blow into that. I gotta edit that out. All right, so next question. Let's jump right into the next one. Are we good?
I'm good.
All right. So this is by Peter Marshall. Which faction is on top, and why is it Scorn?
Because Scorn is now 2 factions?
Did you just have a seizure? Because I swear to God, you said top faction and Scorn in the same sentence.
Hey, that was the question. I'm just reading the question verbatim.
I think it's safe to say that the current top faction is Cryx. Now, whether that's right or wrong, we'll find out. But
I would agree. I do think that Scorn got a very nice bump. I'm not saying that they didn't. I think they did very well for the theme Apocalypse, but I still think Scorn is. I think Cryx is still number 1.
If I had to choose the top 3 factions, I think as it stands right now, I would definitely say it is Cryx, Signar, Grimkin.
Yeah, but I've been in conversations with Snarky about that, and I wonder if Grimkin's success lately is more just from a dark horse scenario, and that the more comfortable people get with it, the less it's gonna succeed.
I just think they have so many toolboxes. They're themeless. They're super good. Everything has a lot of synergy. Like, almost every piece of that faction, if you take, it usually has a purpose, and that's the crazy part about it is I don't really see, in some of these factions, there's too many models where somebody might look at, they might look at Trolls and go, what are Trollkin scouts? You just don't see it. But every single part of Grimkin, you see, you see almost every solo, every unit, everything being used in some way, in some sort of list. And I think, yeah, even though they're limited, that just shows a lot of the synergy and how well that they complement each other.
Gaston, you got anything? Or you just being quiet?
Top 3 factions are Ret, Minions, Protectorate.
Hey, Gaston, can you remind me real quick? What are the factions you play again?
Wow, that's just a coincidence because they're in a different order.
I didn't hear Scorn in there.
Oh, you can sit on it and spin.
He said better minions.
Yeah, he did. He said the best minions. All right, next one's from David Canty. After the theme dump, what's the top/meta bending and best foods and energy drinks to keep you up and focused at a long tournament?
Okay, first, shout out David Canty.
David is awesome.
What was the question again?
Okay.
Was there a specific reason for the shout out?
Yeah.
Oh, David's been around since freaking day 1 and continually feeds us memes.
All right.
Well, I love memes, so I love David.
The memes are good.
There's not a week we do not get a message from David Canty. And the one week that we didn't, Kevin messaged him and said, "Are you alive?"
All right. So after the theme dump, what's the top/meta bending? What's on top/ what's meta bending? I think it's still, you still got the Ghost Fleet, which we kind of already answered in the last one.
Yeah, I was because we answered that already.
All right, what about best foods and energy drinks to keep you up and focused at a long tournament?
Are we being serious on this one, or are we trying to plug for sponsors?
That's what he asked, and he has a little smiley face at the end.
Oh, okay. food, you really want to go for some granola or something that's got meat in it. Basically, you want your protein to keep your energy going. Drink-wise, energy drink-wise, I'm a huge Monster fan, but I would not recommend that for a tournament. Like, legitimately, the only thing you should be drinking at tournaments is water.
Yeah, I've recently stopped drinking all forms of soda, and that's been awful. But on the bright side, water is really your best friend, and that's what I've really started drinking a ton of is water.
Yeah, I don't drink any of the energy drinks or any of that. Also, good shoes. This is important.
Yeah, good shoes. Another one is sit the fuck down. If there is a chair next to you, sit down.
I don't drink any energy drink because that would be a fucking nightmare for everybody around me.
Yes, it would.
But it would. Yeah, and I would definitely say for food, I would definitely say Subway, just because you can usually get something. You have 2 halves of it for a pretty affordable amount that is pretty easy to carry around, and you can eat it efficiently in between rounds.
Actually, something I used to do a long time ago, and I probably should pick it up one of these days again when I did con travels and stuff like that, is I would always pack like snack bags and stuff like that of like, I tend to do like nuts or the old-fashioned like beef jerky and a string cheese next to it or something like that, just something with the protein in it. But also, I used to pack snacks, extra snacks, and if I started realizing that one of my opponents might be getting a little hangry, I'd offer them one.
Do you remember that tournament I brought a backpack filled with those applesauce like squeeze packs? I brought like 60 of them in a backpack, and I remember people being like, "Man, I'm so hungry." I'm like, "Want an applesauce?"
That's pretty smart.
And everybody looking at you like, what's wrong with them?
Well, no, that was assumed. They were coming for me.
That's true. All right, next question from Robbie Graham. If I place a rack in a forest more than 3 inches deep to block line of sight, and it blows up when I take a focus point off of it, does it still make a noise?
Only to Menoth.
I mean, you're getting it from the pro Menoth player, so that's your answer.
That is true.
And his is the only opinion that matters.
All right. What about this one from Ellis 3? Is Coven/Denny 1 still the perfect pair with all of the lists that are coming out that have great time into it?
Yes.
I think before the CID, yes. I think post-CID, we'll see, because Denny 1 is getting a lot of changes.
Post-CID at the moment, still yes.
You still think still yes? Why?
All she really lost was Scourge and the ability for people to run. That's not...
Yeah. She still has plenty of ways. Still has plenty of ways of killing you and removing armor with these.
I mean, the other thing is that, like, you can still Ghost Fleet without Denny 1. You can do it with, like, Gorshay 3 if you want the accuracy. You can pop stuff stationary and shoot them to death if you want to go for that assassination attempt.
Icos.
Terminus has run it. Icos, Agathea. Or you can just go double Dark Host with Coven and something like Gaspy 1, Gaspy 2. So it's, while Denny needed to be changed, it's not going to remove the problem.
And arguably, I think Black Industries is potentially an up and rising theme that you're going to see a lot of.
Is that the one with the therapists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is with Cryx, it's not necessarily a single theme list or a single theme caster so much as it is the pairing of them. That creates a very positive list chicken for the Cryx player, because now you've built your Ghost Fleet list, but that's not going to be any good into Dark Industries. That's not going to be any good into Dark Host and Coven. So they can kind of look at what you got. You're like, okay, do you have RFP? Do you have, the magic weapons? Well, I'm just going to drop my non-Ghost Fleet list. And you're still kind of feeling pigeonholed into your anti-Ghost Fleet list in case they do decide to fake you out and drop Ghost Fleet anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like Cryx, we always talk about, are you asking a question or are you answering a question with your list? And it almost feels like Cryx lists or I'm asking you a question and this question happens to be multiple choice and D is the answer, all of the above, because it's true.
Not to mention, you're screaming it at them. You're screaming.
It's very aggressive.
I think that's definitely Cryx's, like, a lot of people say, like, what would you have to do or remove from Cryx in order to, scale them down? And the thing is that it's not one single piece of the pie for me. It is the fact that they are just the complete deal. Like, they just have options for days, and their theme lists provide those options with even more options.
See, my problem with that statement, or with the issue where people jump on and they're like, how would you fix Cryx, or what would you remove from them? My legitimate, honest answer is nothing. My issue is I don't think we're necessarily addressing the true symptom, which is, it feels like to me that Privateer Press doesn't know what speed they want to go on. So it's like they're driving a car, and when they're talking about Cryx, they're pedal to the metal, but when they're talking about Scorn, they're about halfway, and then we're talking about Red, they're on coast, and it's like, pick a speed and make everybody that same speed. That way everything's either overpowered across the board or underbalanced across the board, or everybody's even, but at least everybody's playing on the same field.
Okay, well, one,
Those are still on the button.
If Red's on coast, they're coasting at like 80 miles per hour. And two, an interesting point that came up with the CID tangential to that is that the original Mark I, Mark II design philosophy of Cryx was that you have weak everything else and a strong caster, and that's kind of the balance factor. And the point that they're raising is that they didn't think the pieces around the casters were still weak. They thought that they were, kind of up there with all the independent pieces from the other factions, while still having the strong caster thematically throughout the faction, which is an interesting discussion point.
But are you saying that you feel like all of the theme lists have been built to the same level of power across all the factions?
I wouldn't say all the theme lists, but there's a pretty reasonably tight bell curve there.
Maybe have a discussion we'll have to have at another time.
Maybe we're talking about the Liberty Bell curve, because there's one hell of a cracking.
Hashtag PAX Unplugged Liberty Bell.
Hashtag dad jokes.
Oh God.
Stop.
Man, I thought I had that market cornered.
Stop. Just stop. Next question.
All right, next question is from Zach Schilling. So why do the online communities revolve around big tournament playing lists while local metas defy them?
It's so much easier to go on and see something that someone's playing across the board, where, you can have a much larger group talking about it than you do in your local, where, you could have conversations about that. So I think the fact of the national larger meta players is the fact that it allows local players something to talk about and aim to, change.
Also, I think... I think whenever you're looking at the big tournaments, you can see that they play in a variety of different a variety of different pools, I guess, around the country. So you can see in these big tournaments, it's more easily available to see who they're playing against. You see the same numbers pop up, so it's easier to track to see that they are actually strong players. When in your local meta, you could have tons of strong players that never travel, and that just might be because of their constraints, but you can also have a lot of people that aren't as strong at the game, and the list that might work in your local meta might not work on the bigger tournament circuit, because these are more not developed players, but they're more repetitive, playing the exact same list constant. So you can kind of see that it's easier for us to discuss at the big tournament level, because you can see the results a lot easier.
I would argue that it's not a matter of ease so much as it is the way the game is structured with static lists and a static set of scenarios. Casters have a solution. It may be for any given caster that it's an 80% solved list. It may be for a given caster it's a 90% solved list. But if everyone in the country plays Amun, they are going to converge to a list archetype and have a lot of similar features in them. So it's essentially you're saving yourself work. It's not even an ease thing. It's a common sense thing.
I guess for me it's a visibility thing. It's so much easier to see the records and see the lists and all that stuff of the, 20 to 30 quote-unquote national meta players than it is to try and track down what happened in the last San Diego local tournament. Like, it's We've talked about it before, but tracking metas is pointless. The only meta you should be tracking is the one you play in, because the
Well,
national meta is
standard.
completely different depending on the nation you're in. The local meta is completely different depending on whatever local meta you're in. Hell, even your little friend basement meta is completely different than a store meta. So don't worry about the national meta if you only play with your friends. The only thing you really should worry about is what your friend meta is, and up until the point that your friend meta might bring in a national list, in which case figure it out. But don't worry, don't spin your gears on national meta. And to the extent of why does the internet populace follow that? It's just easier to have a conversation when you can point to something and go, look here on Twitter, you can see this this list, or look here on YouTube, you can see this battle report, or listen to this podcast. Point me to where I can go see Chuck Ellswick's local games. It doesn't exist.
And you guys are a lot different from me in that I don't follow Warmachine Weekend. I don't really follow the WTC. I don't really listen to podcasts. And every now and then, I look at the list and I check in. I'm like, yeah, that's what I expected. Makes sense. Okay. I don't know. I'm different than you.
And that's why you're a competitive player. We're not.
It's true.
Because I don't bother to keep up with anything or have knowledge about the game.
Yeah, we're just fanboys. All right, next question. So this is from Peyton Priest. Man, I am so sorry for everyone's names that I am just straight up destroying. All right, so now with Trolls changes and theme drop, are Hordes still straight worse than Warmachine?
No, and they never were.
Yeah, I have to agree with Herman there. I don't believe that it was a fact of being worse. I think it was just different. And I think that there are scenarios that that Hordes plays very well because of the fact that we have a lot of times staying power, with the ability to heal some of our beasts a little bit easier, transfer damage, I think that that's something that Hordes has over the Warmachine side.
Well, don't confuse, Warmachine being better than Hordes just because Cryx and Signar are broken.
Hey, Signar's fair and balanced. We got Haley 2 nerfed. All right, fair and balanced.
Yeah, like a ton of bricks weighed against a feather.
Hey, I'm just saying. All right. So
no peace until we kneecap Haley 3.
That's hurtful. Haley 3 is innocent and sweet.
I've got a Warmachine army and I got a Hordes army, and I have never felt bad playing Hordes into Warmachine. Like, I've never felt like, oh my god, this is a struggle, or oh my god, this is an uphill battle. It's just, it's business as usual.
Do you think the issue is people keep trying to compare the two when you just have to accept the facts? The mechanics are different. They're the same game, but they're also two separate games. Stop trying to compare them.
No, you can compare them all you want. I mean, comparing things is what nerds do.
It's true. It's fun.
Like that one time you guys asked me to rank the Protectorate casters, and I made just a giant blob.
Oh, Gaston. Why we ever invited you on this cast?
Because
we didn't have anybody else.
All right. Let's get to the last question. Neil Rose writes, what's your favorite OP bullshit?
Madrak 1.
Madrak 1 is so good. So annoying.
And
Kevin?
by Madrak 1, I mean champions in general.
Kevin, what about you? What's your favorite OP?
Come back to me, because I wanted to say Madrak 1 and some jackass had to steal it from me.
Makes sense.
I changed mine to champions.
It's the same thing.
You changed yours to champions under Madrak 1.
No, it could be champions under 90% of people.
Then you're wrong.
All right, then. What about you, Gaston? You got one?
Arcadius's feet.
Arcadius's feet. Okay. That's not bad. Mine's going to I think it's going to be Haley 3 Gravediggers right now. It seems to be the new hot.
Is Arcadius's feet still the one that allows your beast to, frenzy?
Yeah, but now I get to pick the target, too.
That's pretty baller.
That is pretty
awesome.
awesome.
you can do everything with that feat. Oh my god.
I'm torn. And it's not the two that I'm thinking of right now aren't necessarily like super popular broken OP, but in my opinion they are broken OP. And that is either TEPs, just in general.
Ouch.
Because fuck those assholes. Or
Preach it, brother. Amen.
Or the combo of, fuck, it's not Hypnos.
Fuck
What's the
Hyperion.
Is it? No, it's not. What's the colossal that pulls?
Helios.
Helios.
Fuck Helios.
It's the combination of Helios and Imperatus. Because Helios sets it up and Imperatus knocks it down, and it's super fucking bullshit.
But Helios is so nice.
No,
I
he's
love
not.
Helios.
He's not
His gun
nice.
doesn't even do damage.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't have to. The fists that bring you closer does the damage.
Exactly.
You mean the
POW
fists that are
21.
waiting after you get brought closer?
I mean, as irritating as Helios and Imperatus combo is for me, I still like to this day playing against TEPs, seeing TEP played, just rage-inducing.
Are you serious? They are worse than that combo you just stated?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
straight up are.
I refuse to be a part of this conversation.
I physically don't know how in the world you could put that combo above TEPs because TEPs are like the biggest bucket of bullshit. Oh, wait. I want to roll extra dice. Oh,
Yeah.
I can
Oh,
choose
you have
dice. I don't even have to pick.
You have high defense. I can answer that. You have high armor. I can answer that. You got lots of dudes. I can answer that. Did you bring anything else? No, fuck off.
I mean, I have to choose. Do I want to hit the high dudes or do I want to hit the high armor dudes? Like, I can't do it all at the same time.
So many choices. Oh, and by the way, did you shoot me? Cool. Shield guard to the little shits.
I mean, they have to be in base to base.
You killed my little shits. My turn. Here they go.
Here they're back. Oh God, the fucking TB is so rage-inducing.
I mean, I thought it was a fun game.
You can go eat a bag of dicks. How about that?
Mm.
A whole
crushed.
bag. It's
I'm
like
crushed.
Pringles.
I
You
would
just have just one.
I would
It's a
definitely
whole
not put
bag
the
of
TEP. I would not put the TEP up there at all. Not even close.
I'm pretty sure anyone who's played against the TEP would put the TEP up there. And your dice.
Nobody claims that the crutch is the reason they can walk.
Actually, Gaston may have truly hit the point. The true OP combo is TEP and Tony's bullshit-ass dice.
Dude, my dice worked perfectly well on you, Kevin. They didn't even kill any of your heavies. And they didn't kill
It's not
Helios.
my ran TEP into my, straight down my arm. He was like, here you go. Here's a TEP. I'm not going to not take it.
I'm just saying, he didn't kill as much stuff as I wanted him
because I
to.
freaking had like a team of mechanics working on that guy around the clock. Is like some Pacific Rim bullshit.
I really should have run Lacan into him and killed that Helios.
I'm Ret players, I apologize for bringing you into the conversation. It's just the TEP and Tony's dice.
That hurts.
Exactly. Truth.
That's hurtful.
Helios is a wonderful thing. All it does is hand out. It's like the Care Bear of Colossals.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Before we go, just want to wish Gaston a happy Dirty 30 birthday.
Ooh, I'm so old now. It's kind of
You
ridiculous.
are old.
You're the baby of the group.
No, I'm still
I
a
got a Crawford beat by 6 days.
6 days, yep.
What? You're
Yeah.
the baby
Yeah.
Crawford?
I turned 30 on Sunday.
Tony's the baby of the group.
You realize in our group we have someone born on November 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th?
Wait,
Like
who was
I
born on the 3rd?
Sheridan.
Oh,
No, Sheridan was born on the 9th.
yeah,
or no,
Sheridan's born on the
9th.
9th.
Sorry.
Who's born on the 3rd?
Diaz?
Oh, yeah, you're right, Josh Diaz. Yep, Josh Diaz was born on the 3rd.
Oh shit! Happy birthday, Josh! I didn't send you anything. My bad.
And then Zach was also born on, I think, the 5th or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the month. It's the month of birthdays for AM.
So happy
So
birthday,
my buddy
Gaston.
texted me.
Happy soon birthday, by the way,
he's like-
Solus.
But no, they texted me and they're like, hey, you're a Valentine's Day baby. I'm like, oh, God, I can't wash that out of my mouth now.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Why did you put it in your mouth in the first place?
You know what I mean.
Ugh,
It's like a TEP. You just can't get the taste out.
but it's so good. So
A
good.
whole- just a whole bag of TEPs.
It's so balanced.
There's a reason that they called them cock.
I'm really hoping, I'm debating about 2 TEPs with Orion, because if I can hit a Jack that has focus on it, I can get up to 6 dice of damage.
I'm going to drive up to your house this weekend, punch you in the dick, punch you in the throat, take your two TEPs, smash them under a car, then punch you in the dick and the throat again just to be safe.
That is...
With the TEP.
That is way too aggressive, and I am not okay with that.
And honestly,
Sorry, man, I'm not there to defend you.
I want Kevin to repeat the order of that because I don't believe he could do that again.
This isn't math. Order doesn't matter.
That's true. Fact. All right. I want to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Turn Extension. Have a good one.
Fuck TEPs.
Fuck TEPs.
Long live Helios.